Hey guys, so today I'm here with a review of the Sega Genesis Model 2. Now, there are of course three different versions of the Sega Genesis. There was the original, the Model 2, which I have here, and there's also a Model 3. However, today guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you the Sega Genesis Model 2, as in my opinion it was one of the better Sega Genesis just because of the looks, because I really do like the looks of this. So let's go ahead and just give you guys a quick tour. Starting from the front, you will see two controller ports, and they actually are fully compatible with all Sega Genesis, so if you have the original model, it works just fine. So you can go ahead and plug in two controllers. In addition, you have a power button, as well as a reset, and when you turn on the power, you see these three lights light up. On the top of the unit, you go ahead and insert your Sega Genesis cartridges. So in this case, I just got Sonic the Hedgehog. So you just go ahead and drop it right in there, and they work fine. And the cartridges are even grooved on the back so that you can go ahead and pull them out. So it works really nicely. Okay, so moving around to the back, there is not a whole lot here. So as you can see here, there are only two ports. There's one for the AV out, and then one for the power adapter. Now this actually is not that great, as the original Genesis actually had quite a few other ports, including even a headphone. Not a big deal though, however, as most of the time you really didn't use any of the other ports. I mean, all you need to do is plug it into your TV. And obviously the much smaller size of the Model 2 is definitely a nice touch. Here you can see the Sega Genesis Model 2 compared to its main competitor in the day, the second generation Super Nintendo. As you can see, both are pretty similar in size. The Super Nintendo is a little bit taller, and the Genesis is just a little bit wider. But all in all, I mean, both of these are really compact consoles, and to be honest, neither of them look too bad even today. One thing that Sega really focused on was a really nice variety of peripherals to extend the Genesis lifespan. So of course the Super Nintendo didn't focus on that, and really no other console has put so much effort into really extending the life as the Genesis did. So there are two main ones. There was the Sega 32X, which, as the name implies, it actually gave it 32-bit support, so it could play different games such as Doom and a lot more, advanced. Another, probably arguably a little bit more important, I guess, was the Sega CD. And this actually is entirely functional with both the Sega Genesis 1 and 2. So if you just pull off this little thing here, and this is just a protector right here, you actually go ahead and use this. It sits on a base station. I actually don't have one right here, but the Genesis actually sits on a base station, and you can actually go ahead and play audio CDs, but the main thing was that you could actually go ahead and play Sega CD games. The Sega CD games were actually pretty interesting. They generally had somewhat better graphics, but the main thing was they just had more room, so they actually could have full CD quality audio and a lot more advanced features. So between these two add-ons though, it really did give the Genesis a lot of life. Instead of buying a new console, you just go ahead and buy one of these add-ons, and all of a sudden you get better graphics and play a lot more games. So it definitely was a pretty cool feature. The Sega Genesis was really a fantastic console, and indeed the Model 2 is one of my favorites. Now, of course, the original model, if you can get one, that's probably the one to go with, just because it did have quite a few other features, such as, a volume and some more connectors and stuff like that. However, if you just want something small just to play the Sega Genesis games, you don't want to have to pay the quite a bit more expensive price of the Model 3, I definitely recommend the Sega Genesis Model 2. It was a really solid console, build quality is fantastic, and it still supports the full, all the accessories, the 32X, as well as the CD. So guys, if you're interested, go ahead and just check them out. Like I said, they're really cheap. And of course, there's still great games like, Sonic the Hedgehog, Mortal Kombat, among many others. Anyway guys, thanks for watching.